Everybody has said tonight that I can't act. Kevin cannot act. What I want you to do is go back and look at that moment where I shook Katt's hand and I looked him in the eye and I said, I just want us to be friends. Some of the best fucking acting that I've ever did in my career. I did not mean one word of what I said. Fuck Katt Williams. Fuck Katt Williams.
My frustration with Katt Williams comes from, you keep pointing at Hollywood, the white man, this and this. When do you take responsibility for your action? Me, Kevin Hart, the guy that sits on top right now, have taken advantage of all the money that I have, shot over 56 specials for the up-and-coming generation of comedy. You had the shot. You didn't show up to work. You became a risk to the studio.
What was he a risk?
He chose you.
Oh, the fact that people tell lies. The cat's on. Where are the stories? Why is there no story of anybody who ever sold it to me, did it with me? I got 5 daughters. I got 5 sons.
You can't afford to be a comedian and be black and be short and have me as a op. Not just because I'm him, but because you're not.
Nobody knew Katt Williams was going to be there. Netflix hadn't announced him. The guest list had been kept under wraps for weeks. And when Regina Hall walked up to the mic at the Kia Forum and said she had a gift, and Katt Williams walked out, the building did not just react, it stopped. Because this was not just a surprise roast guest. This was a man who, less than 2 years earlier, had gone on Shannon Sharpe's podcast and said he wrote his words specifically to kill the careers of the people he was talking about. And now, he was standing on Kevin Hart's own stage, at Kevin Hart's own roast, on Kevin Hart's own network, with the Netflix CEO sitting in the audience. To understand why that entrance hit the way it did, you need the full background. For over 2 decades, Katt Williams and Kevin Hart had largely avoided each other. The feud had roots in accusations about industry politics and creative theft going back to when both men were rising through stand-up at the same time in the mid-2000s. Williams broke through with specials like The Pimp Chronicles and his role as Money Mike in Friday After Next, electric, fearless, the kind of comedian who could hold an arena in the palm of his hand with a microphone and a fur coat. Hart was building his brand differently, more commercial, more family-friendly, more aligned with what Hollywood studios wanted. And that divergence is where the fracture started. Williams believed the machine chose Hart and passed over him, not because Hart was funnier, but because Hart was more controllable. The accusations were about industry politics, stolen movie roles, and manufactured stardom. It simmered for years. Then in 2017, when Williams went after Tiffany Haddish ahead of her and Hart's film Night School, Hart came to Haddish's defense publicly and drew a line neither man crossed back over for years. Then January 2024 came, and the Club Shay Shay interview rewrote everything. Williams sat across from Shannon Sharpe and laid out his case with surgical precision. He said that in 15 years in Hollywood, no one has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show before his films took off. He said every movie Hart did was a movie that had been on his desk first. He called Hart an industry plant. He said the industry manufactured his rise. The internet devoured it. 83 million YouTube views? SNL parodied it. Clips circulated for weeks. Hart responded by calling the comments sad. He went on ESPN's NBA Unplugged during a 76ers game and made jokes about Williams' claims. Then he went on Charlemagne's show months later and admitted he regretted ever responding at all. After that, silence. For over a year, neither man said anything publicly about the other, until May 10th, 2026. The Netflix roast of Kevin Hart streamed live at the Kia Forum in Englewood, California. It was 3 hours of relentless material. Hart's height, his films, his absentee father. The crowd was loud. Hart was cursing from his seat. Everything was proceeding exactly as expected. Then Regina Hall introduced Katt Williams as a gift, and the energy in the building became something else entirely. He didn't walk out humble. He walked out as Katt Williams. His first line told everyone exactly what kind of night it was going to be. "I'm surprised they invited me," Williams said. "That's how little star power you have. They had to start inviting your enemies. I said, I hate him. They said come anyway." The crowd erupted. Hart shifted in his chair. Then Katt announced he was there for the money, calling it his Riyadh Comedy Festival. Only this one has a soul. That was a double-edged blade. Hart had come under fire for performing in Saudi Arabia at the Riyadh Comedy Festival the previous year. Katt managed to roast Hart for attending Riyadh while simultaneously mocking the Netflix roast he was currently participating in, and still got a standing ovation for it. He told Hart directly, "Kevin, you're going to hear some things tonight that you're not familiar with. Those things are called punchlines." The Kia Forum erupted. Hart threw his head back. That single line encapsulated everything Williams had ever thought about Hart's comedy, and he said it right to his face, on Hart's stage, on live television. Then he went where everyone was waiting. This nigga stole everything from me. Before he saw my act, he was a 6'3" white man, a callback to years of theft accusations, wrapped in an absurd comparison that made the crowd laugh too hard to fully evaluate whether real pain was underneath it. He even addressed the Hollywood puppet accusation he'd made on Club Shay. Yes, I said some things I'd like to take back. I said Kevin was a Hollywood puppet. What I meant was the head of Netflix literally had his hand up Kevin's ass telling him what to do. With Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos sitting in the audience, that joke took on an extra layer of brutality. This wasn't just a roast set. It was a public reckoning delivered in jokes, wrapped in comedy, and seasoned with a quarter-century of rivalry. After Katt finished, Hart did something nobody expected. He jumped up and addressed Williams directly. The room went quiet. Not comedy quiet. Genuinely quiet. Katt, we have an opportunity in real time on live TV to put our beef behind us. I am offering you an olive branch of peace. I want to be your brother. I want to be your friend. Katt, can we move on? They embraced. The crowd rose. Katt revealed that the two of them hadn't been in the same building for nearly 25 years. 25 years! Two men who climbed stand-up in the same era, became household names in the same industry, lived and worked in the same city, and hadn't been in the same room for a quarter of a century. The weight of that stopped the audience in a way a roast is never supposed to. Social media erupted. People were posting crying emojis. Commentators were calling it one of the most powerful moments in live television comedy. And then Hart took the mic for his rebuttal. He looked at the audience, smiled, and said, "Everybody said tonight that I can't act. I want you to go back and look at that moment when I shook Katt's hand and said I wanted us to be friends. Some of the best acting I've ever done in my career. I did not mean one word of what I said." The crowd lost it. The entire emotional arc of the handshake, the sincerity, the vulnerability, 25 years of distance collapsed into one embrace, was flipped on its head in a single sentence. Hart called his own peace offering the best performance of his career and said he didn't mean any of it. Then he kept going. He addressed Williams' claims about stolen movie roles by listing every film Williams supposedly turned down. Katt said tonight that I took all his movies. All right, let's unpack it. He rattled off Jumanji, Ride Along, Central Intelligence, Think Like a Man, The Upside, About Last Night, Me Time, Borderlands, Man from Toronto, and then asked Katt if he turned all of those down to do a cameo in Norbit. He even addressed the idea of Williams starring in his films directly. "Katt, you can't be in my movies. You think they want a pimp in Jumanji?" The crowd was screaming. Hart was pacing the stage fully in command. But just when it seemed like he had completely torched the olive branch, he pulled back. He said his truce was some of the best acting he'd done, then concluded by saying Williams showed out and that he meant what he said. The beef is over. That's what made it unforgettable. The fake out, the real emotion, the comedy, the honesty all existing in the same breath. The roast format letting both men hide genuine feelings behind punchlines, and the audience unable to tell where the joke ended and the truth began. Hart said afterward, on a serious note, "I love the fact that man showed up tonight. He showed out. For a man who spent years publicly dismissing Williams' accusations, that acknowledgement was real. What the night actually produced is more complicated than a clean reconciliation story." Hart offered an olive branch, then called it acting. He said the beef is over, then listed every reason Williams' accusations were absurd. He hugged the man, then told the world he didn't mean a word. But here's what's undeniable. Katt Williams walked into the Lion's Den onto someone else's stage, at someone else's roast, and commanded the room like very few people on Earth can. He said everything he needed to say. He got his flowers in real time, and Kevin Hart, to his credit, let him. That might actually be the most significant thing that happened that night. Drop your thoughts. Do you think the reconciliation was real, or was it all part of the performance? Subscribe for more breakdowns on the moments that actually matter in entertainment.